Inferior ports. They've existed since the NES and SNES days and pretty much are the excuse to gain as much cash as possible from the people not ready to buy the next-gen systems by making a dumbed-down version of the base game. Now, as time's moved on, inferior ports have evolved into being downgraded ports of the main versions of games, whereas before, during the PS2 era and below, they would typically have to completely remake the game from scratch to work on the previous hardware. Today we'll have a look at two examples of both forms of inferior ports, graphically downgraded ports on weaker hardware, and the old way of completely remaking it, just to show how bad newer ports have gotten. So let's start off with Black Ops 3 for the PS3, which was made through the new way of just dumbing down the original game. And let me just say, this version of Black Ops 3 is one of the worst looking PS3 games I've ever looked at, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't fun from what I played. What I mean is that this game is just Call of Duty Black Ops 3, but the worst way to play it. This makes the PC low settings look like Ultra, but other than that, it's fine. Well no, they cut corners and didn't want to make a fully optimized port, and knew a lot of their player base just played online. So those people who are stuck on the PS3 and Xbox 360 in 2015 got a gimped version with online, zombies, and only the first wave of DLC before Activision decided to cut the life support on this version that wasn't making them money. This port doesn't even have split screen, which, like the campaign, was most likely cut due to tanking the frame rate, which Beanox and mercenary technology most likely weren't getting enough time to even try and fix. But hey, it wasn't all bad. If you decide to buy this version of the game, you get a free download code for Black Ops 1, a game that the fans of this series would already have, and in itself is worth no more than $3. Also, I didn't even get that as my copy was secondhand. I paid $20 for this! Now that Black Ops 3 has been put to rest, $20 that I was proud to spend was on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. It is an example of a game that was built from the ground up for its inferior port. Instead of condensing the new engine down to run on the PS1, Sips 3 runs on the Tony Hawk 2 engine, which is apparent from the create modes being exactly the same as that game, which isn't a bad thing. Sharba Games, the developer porting this, had to be very creative with the limitations of the old engine and PS1 hardware when working on this. Levels were edited in a way that still felt like the original game, just with new segments dedicated to running on previous gen systems. The new added goals also still felt just as fun as the rest of the game, and made up in the decrease of graphics quality from Xbox, GameCube and PS2. It even had the multiplayer, something a 2015 PS3 port couldn't even do. So this shows how dedicated the team behind this were at making something for the fans. Sharba really showed how to make a good inferior port all the way back in 2001. They definitely worked hard on this to make it the closest they could to proper SUP 3, and it paid off in the long run. Unlike the SUP 3 port, LEGO Avengers' devs tried nothing to make a good port. In fact, they didn't do anything at all and just grabbed the main version and downgraded it until it was at least running on the PS3. This port is fundamentally the same game as its primary version on more powerful hardware, so why talk about it? Well, mainly because how weird it is. It feels like someone said they could port the game to the PS3, and didn't even bother asking themselves if they should port it. So, what you're left with is a game that looks dirty and dry. Everything looks super low res and not the 720p the game claims it is. Even with the PC version being the primary game, it's still just as boring and mindless as the PS3 version. You can definitely feel that it was rushed. Which makes sense, as this game came out a year before LEGO Marvel 2, and LEGO sequels normally take at least 2 years, but sometimes even 6 to be fully completed. The game itself also only came out a few months after Age of Ultron. It seems to me that it's not the old console port that's bad, the entire game is. So, is this the right video for this game? Who knows? I'm gonna get this out the way first. I don't enjoy Sonic Unleashed on the PS3, even though it's the main release and the one that's meant to be played. I was quite shocked though when playing the Wii and PS2 version for this video, and actually really enjoying it. And I'm finding it a lot better than the PS3 and 360 game. So, how do you end up with the inferior port being better than the base game? Simple. You dumb it down and you remove the tedious tasks from the base game. Collecting the Sun and Moon medals slowed down the game, as having to go and find them in such fast-paced levels ruined the speed of Sonic. I absolutely hated the PS3 Werehog levels due to how slow he is and how every puzzle took forever to complete. So having just straight up combat and platform Werehog stages on the Wii felt so much better. I also felt standard Sonic levels were better, as the design was changed to become more strategy based with the different Wii gameplay. So good ports know that they need to dumb down the game to get it running on inferior hardware, and I feel this specific port took out most of the issues I had with this game. While some may disagree, I feel this game removed exactly what it needed to, and this left this inferior port being better than the base game. So, we've looked at 4 versions of inferior ports. 2 good, 2 bad. One was utterly pointless apart from money. One was one of, if not the best inferior port ever made. One was the same game that was already bad, but worse. And the last one was even better than the original counterpart. With this variety of inferior ports, it's clear time pays off, and there is a big difference in quality of the final product when they are made for different reasons and in different ways. With that being simply downgraded in graphics as a cash grab, or being completely rebuilt from the ground up as a proper game.